Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here, and you are welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down. Why especially my enemies? Why do I say that? Because this is a place for everyone. This shouldn't just be a place for people who like me or like what I do. You should all be able to come in, give it a listen, and air your opinions, and I'll try and read as many as I can. Basically, right, Zack Snyder has put the cat amongst the pigeons in his director's cut, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Extended Edition talk, where he sat there with a group of fans, watched the film, then talked about a lot of things. So I will be pausing this video a lot, so it will look like a bad edited video because there's a few things to discuss. So comicbook.com has this article about one of the things he spoke about. Then I'm going to go to another article they spoke about because this is just really exciting, isn't it? What I will say as well, I'm going to be doing a lot more DCEU videos because I think the DCEU fandom have brought me up to well over 500 subscribers. Not a lot to you people, nothing compared to other accounts, but for me that's massive. I never thought I'd even get this far. So I'm going to do a lot more videos. DC, Superman, the DCEU is my passion. So I'm going to do a lot more videos about the DCEU, and I hope that's a cool thing. So let's read this article. Zack Snyder addresses infamous Martha scene from Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice director Zack Snyder has addressed the key sequence that brings Batman, Ben Affleck and Superman Henry Cavill's blockbuster bout to a standstill when the battered Man of Steel tells the Dark Knight to save Martha. We'll remember that, don't we? And we know how controversial it was. I think it was a great moment, but there you go. Weakened by kryptonite, Superman urges Batman to save Mother Martha, Kent Diane Lane, but the plea forces Batman to recall his late mother, Martha Wayne, Lauren Cohan, prompting the vengeful vigilante to ask, "Why did you say that name?" It's funny, this is Zack Snyder, I think. It's funny because we, screenwriter Chris Terrio and I, we did reach the point in the movie, in our discussions, we knew how to get them to fight, right? But how do you get them to stop fighting? Snyder said during the director's cuts panel at Pasadena's Art Center College of Design on Sunday. That's a tough one, he said. And we sort of were just throwing down on their humanity. And Batman realizes Superman has humanity. He's not just a creature, he's a man. He's an alien, but he is as human as, in a lot of ways, he's more human than him, right? He's sort of embraced all the good parts of the human race. And so Batman's able to sort of see, in a lot of ways, the thing that he's not. And I think that was how we started to talk about it. Snyder credits Terrio with zeroing in on the shared names belonging to their respective mothers, then used to stir Batman into realizing Superman is a mother's son. And it was actually Chris who told me. He goes, "You know, just saying, is it weird that their mothers have the same name?" I was like, that's crazy. Is that true? That is true, Snyder said, 2 laughs. And so that's kind of how the conversation started. It's as simple as that. So that's the kind of how it started. And then we started to talk about how it could work. And if it was Lois, Amy Adams, that said it, maybe it's better. It's that kind of thing. Look, it's a mythological construct. I have no problem with that part of it. Snyder added, the creatives mulled over the idea that maybe Martha Wayne didn't die and that she got put into witness protection in Kansas. I'm just saying, not like it was possible, Snyder added with a laugh. Anyway, we can only push it so hard in movies. What the problem is with how salient that line is, and the connection between having the same mother's name allows you to connect with someone you wanted to obliterate from the planet because you saw him as a threat to the human race. Batman v Superman stunt coordinator Damon Caro previously told Screen Rant when remarking the film's crew doesn't understand criticisms surrounding the often mocked scene. I don't understand it. Look, it was just a way for MCU fans to hammer the film down because they knew Captain America Civil War was coming out and they wanted to annihilate us. Anyway, You saw him as a threat to humanity. Then in that one moment you realised he was an orphan and his mother's. You saw him as you as a kid, and you saw him in that light. So that enlightened you. That made you drop and see him now, not as an enemy, but as an ally, a fellow being who's trying to do the right thing to reach justice. So no, crystal clear, and very like I said, it always made sense to me. And right, so let's discuss that before I pause this video to go on to the other article, because he talks about what he was going to do with Justice League. And this really does set the cat amongst the pigeons. But basically, I've told you this before. The Martha moment is a fucking compelling, beautiful moment. And as I said, the people who hate it are the people who wanted to do the DCEU down. It was a concerted campaign. Critics didn't like it either. Listen, this moment is a beautiful moment, right? As Zach's just explained, think about it, right? Here's two guys kicking the living crap out of each other. And I've explained it. I mean, I see it a bit differently to Zach. I think when Bruce Wayne is hearing his mother's name, he's thinking, why is he saying save Martha? Does he know Martha's my mother? Is she possibly somehow alive and I didn't know? Why is he saying save Martha? At that time, he's confused. Why are you saying that name? And then Lois comes in and elaborates. And then he kind of goes, it all goes through his head what Zach's saying. This is a man, this is a person with a mother, with a life. I can't destroy this person. This is not going to work. And he slowly comes to his senses. So it's an absolutely great way. And I'll never understand to this day why people hated on it. And that's what I think about that. But, you know, this event that Snyder's gone to, this is great because he's been attacked by so many people. And I think he's right to have a right to reply. And he's doing a fantastic job. I will be back very shortly once I find that other article. It didn't take long, did it? So let's discuss this other article on comicbook.com. Now, I haven't read this article, so we're going to be reading this together. But look, this is really exciting. The Batman v Superman Director's Cut panel was the one I was looking forward to with Zack. And this is what he's had to say. So the headline runs, Zack Snyder's original Justice League plans deleted post-credit scene revealed. Right. Many fans are still wondering what actually happened with Justice League in the future of the DC Comics movies that never panned out after Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice received a mixed critical response. Warner Bros. Pictures made major changes to their big follow-up and caused a split from original director Zack Snyder. During a live Q&A with fans after a screening of Batman v Superman, Snyder was asked very bluntly by a fan what the hell happened, and the director was surprisingly candid about the changes he had to make to Justice League because of the studio interference. Right. So this is Zack. That's a good question, Snyder responded, prompting the audience to laugh. Snyder addressed the vocal minority that didn't like Batman v Superman and the effect it had on Justice League from studio interference. The original Justice League that Chris Terrio and I wrote, we didn't even shoot. Now that's a shame, isn't it? Now that's something we'll never see, and that is sad. The actual idea, the hard idea, the scary idea, we never filmed because the studio was like, that's crazy, Snyder said, adding that he and his collaborators were insecure because of the reaction to Batman v Superman. It's a long story, Snyder said. The truth is that the nightmare sequence in this movie was always my idea, that all of that world eventually would be explained, and that we would end up in the distant future where Darkseid has taken over Earth and where Superman has succumbed to the anti-life equation. There was a few members of the Justice League that had survived in that world, that they were fighting. Batman broke a pact with Cyborg because something happened. They were working on an equation to jump Flash back to tell Bruce. Snyder is referring to the team in Batman v Superman where the Flash tells Batman that Lois is the key, which is never referenced in Justice League, and the director said that Warner Bros. Was on board for the overall story he wanted to tell, but the details of how and why the Justice League broke up made them nervous and needed to be changed. Then Snyder addressed his post-credit scene that was cut from the movie and would have revealed that the League's struggle against Darkseid was far from over. Wow. The Justice League teaser that wasn't in the movie, apparently. So this was going to be a post-credit scene in Batman v Superman, I assume. Wow. Where Wonder Woman says, it's the line where Bruce says, I was right here, when Barry Allen came to me, and he said Lois Lane is the key, and she says, she is, to Superman. Every heart has one. And he goes, that's beautiful. And I think it's something more, something darker. Wow. Snyder explained that if Lois died, Superman would succumb to the anti-life equation. If Superman knew that somehow it was Bruce's responsibility to protect Lois, he would have been mad at him in Batman v Superman. So that's why he says, she was my world, and you took her from me. Snyder then explains that Cyborg would have transported the Flash back in time, changing the original plan from what we see in Batman v Superman. Instead, Barry Allen would attempt to prevent Lois Lane's murder at the hands of Darkseid, who just boom-tubed into the Batcave. Wow. The reveal sent fans into a frenzy, but unfortunately it's all Snyder revealed about his plan for the Justice League sequel. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That's amazing. I'm going to try and find another tidbit for you that someone else posted, so I'm going to have to actually pause this in a minute. But these revelations are massive. He's talking about Justice League 2. He's talking about stuff that Warner Brothers wouldn't allow him. You know what? It's so difficult for me because I'm a big fan of DC. I do have this kind of moral compass where I think DC films should be for everyone. And then you think to yourself, but why wouldn't people enjoy this? And we aren't. And I do blame the MCU for this. And it's not their fault. That's the way they make their films. But everyone has succumbed that superheroes should be fun, funny, you know, bright, generic. This would have been amazing. I would have loved to have seen Snyder's full 5-movie arc come out. I would have loved that. But unfortunately, Warner Brothers were uncomfortable. They were uncomfortable because they were under pressure from the mainstream audience, from the success of the MCU, and from the critics. They didn't know where to turn. Do they honour what they were doing here? Do they cut him loose? Ultimately, they cut him loose. And I think when they cut him loose, they knew they were in trouble with Justice League, and they just wanted to put the damn movie out and then get Walter Hamada and Peter Safran to kind of try and fix things their way, which they have. And I'm really happy and excited for the future under these guys. But honestly, right, this would have been epic. I basically looked on the tweet, and it's the same thing I've just read for you. So it doesn't really matter, does it? So basically, for a few minutes, let's sit here and discuss this. For me, this would have been absolutely epic. What a tragedy. And he says none of that was filmed. None of that was filmed. But of course, the Snyder Cut is not discussed at all. It's interesting. So we know the stuff he's just explained, we don't see. So what was shot? Is there a Snyder Cut? We don't know anymore. We don't. This is the thing now. Of course there's a cut. He gave them his cut of the original Justice League. So there's something there. Now what that film has got, and he's alluded to it, but he's clearly still under lock and key, and he can't talk about that film too much. So what he cleverly did was talk about Batman v Superman, and the film it could have been the post-credit scene. That would have been awesome. It's just a shame. It's just a shame that the audience, the mainstream audience, just don't like Zack Snyder, and it's a shame. And for that reason, the chatter around these films, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and his plans for Justice League became a very divisive franchise, because one of the people running it was Zack Snyder, who the mainstream audience, unfortunately, just don't like. And for me, it's a massive shame, looking back and thinking about what could have been, for them at least to let him do his 5-picture plan, then say, right, Zack, thanks very much. We're bringing in Walter Hamada and Peter Safran in. Thank you very much. And that would have been great. But you're talking about a 5-movie arc. And at the end of the day, with a 5-movie arc, that's a lot of films, but that maybe they felt they would have lost a lot of money on, because there's no question about it. Batman v Superman didn't get to $1 billion. It made just over 800 million, right? That's not what they wanted. They wanted more money. We saw what happened with Justice League. That was their fault as well, because they got rid of Zack Snyder. But at the end of the day, it is about money, and they want to maximise their box office potential. And with what Zack wanted to do, it just made them nervous, because they knew they wouldn't get that far. I think Aquaman would have been a very different film if Snyder's Justice League came out instead of what they did with Joss Whedon. I think that would have been a controversial film as well. And I think Peter Safran and Walter Hamada changed the direction of that film a lot. I think that film was changed a dramatic way, from what I've been told. So ultimately, the story of Zack Snyder's time is that he gave us 2 really good DCEU movies, but then was literally run out of town. Not because Warner Brothers didn't like him or didn't respect him, because they felt they had no choice. They felt to maximise box office potential, they had to move him on. In the sense of box office, they were right to do it. In the sense of allowing this director to deliver his vision and then allow him to move on, they were wrong. It is not a black and white situation, but I for one, would have absolutely loved to have seen Zack Snyder's 5-movie plan. And I'm just very sad we'll never see that. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe, please. We're going to carry on talking about the DCEU. We're going to make this a DCEU channel, I think. We're going to have a lot of fun. But sometimes, bear with me, because I will go off subject. Sometimes we'll talk about other things. But mostly this will be a DCEU channel moving forward. So please spread the word.